Before the elections, we saw something, and we are all here. Almost every journalist or media journalist had a gallon of galamsey water on their table. Am I like? You saw it. Especially 4 months or 5 months to election. Almost every journalist that sat in front of a camera had a gallon of galamsey water, some of them marked by the rivers, as a form of telling people what it is. Today, all the gallons and bottles of water have vanished.
No, I'm not sure it was almost every journalist. It was specific reporters who were chasing the story, who brought it.
That's what I said, almost. That, again, I agree. No, I agree. I'm not saying all. I'm saying almost. A good number of them. I saw them. Our viewers saw them. We saw them. They were there. What happened? Almost, now, all of a sudden, not even...
But we have not stopped fighting. We're always telling the story.
I'm not saying a fight. I'm telling you about one particular story. I'm telling you that the story of what making it live, the story of putting the galamsey water there, because the visuals were powerful. The visuals made people see, they're like, oh my God, we can't believe that water is like this. All of a sudden, they've all disappeared. Those journalists, when they have the rivers changed to white, have the rivers changed to their national color?
And I'm saying those journalists are still fighting.
Thank you. They are fighting a different way. I agree. Yes. One of them is Erastus Asare Danko. He's in the house. He's a national hero. Look, when the former president was living, and he gave the national award. I think that was the most deserving award of all to give it to that man. He's still fighting. But I'm saying that some people have become complicit. Some people have become conveniently quiet. Some people have let this go. Meanwhile, is this still an existential crisis? Will it still kill us? The medical community and research is telling us that cancers and other things are still happening. We are not winning this war. Erastus Asaredanko is from in this house. He's telling us we are not winning this. We just saw the national organizer of the NDC at Akwatia, again, telling everybody that nothing is going to happen. We saw him, we heard him. He said that, yes, Joseph Yamin, saying that the task force is extracting money from miners. Now I come to this case that I have to talk about. The gods of Nana Akufo-Addo, thank you. Nana, continue to enjoy your retirement in peace. The God and the gods of Cecilia Dapa, God bless you. Continue to enjoy your peace. Continue to enjoy your retirement. Vindication is really in the womb of time. And there's a popular Ghanaian saying right now, give time some time. We have given time some time. We are still giving time some time. And we are beginning to see that the corruption house built of lies is collapsing. That the corruption house built with salt is dissolving. And we are beginning to see how vicious, wicked people were when they were attacking these people. Under the MPP regime, 2 things came to stand to, let's say, stand for corruption. 2 main things. These were, 1, the National Cathedral, and 2, Cecilia Dapa. So corruption had a geographical location. Let me say a whole National Cathedral. Corruption has a face and a name. That is Cecilia Dapa. I'll start with the National Cathedral.
We'll get there. But I'm dealing with this.
I want to follow. It's a flow. Just give me a minute, please. I'll get it. I beg you.
Right.
We were told that corruption had happened under the National Cathedral. If you believe the narrative, especially leading up to election, if you believe the official narrative, you would think that by now people would have been in jail. But we saw the audit report. And that audit report, I believe the audit said that no criminal offense was committed. That every single money used in the National Cathedral was used for the purposes. You can question whether it was a priority, and that is excellent. You can question whether we should have been doing it. That's also excellent. But the audit report, the comprehensive audit report, and the decision said that no crime was committed and has been committed so far. That is why so far there's absolutely nobody standing trial for the National Cathedral. We said that crime has, of course, yes. So that is one thing. So on the National Cathedral, vindication has come in a time of womb. So Cecilia Dapa, this woman was hounded. This woman was harassed. This woman was insulted. She did a very noble thing. She resigned her position so that the government doesn't become a punching bag. She left. His Excellency the President Akufo-Addo wrote a letter in accepting it. A later part of that letter says that I believe that you will be vindicated if you can. The president was roasted for that. People called him names. People said they already acquitted him. So I acquitted her. So far, Cecilia Dapa was investigated by the OSP during the Akufo-Addo regime. And he said he found nothing wrong. The woman had committed no crime. 2, Cecilia Dapa has now been investigated during the John Dramani Mahama regime. And again, the OSP said, I want to read something, point 2.26 of the OSP report. It said, after nearly 7 months of extensive investigations by the office and a parallel inquiry by the Federal Bureau of Investigations of the United States, no direct and immediate evidence of corruption was found in respect of seized funds and Fresh bank account linked to Ms. Dapa and her associates. One, she's been investigated by 2 different regimes. So if you believe that Akufo-Addo was covering up for her, then you also have to believe that President Mahama is covering up for her. 2, if you believe that Akufo-Addo is covering up for her, then you have to believe that President Mahama is not covering up for her. Either way, you come to the same conclusions. Both regimes have found nothing wrong with her. That's 1. 2, Cecilia Dapa has also been investigated by 2 different countries and two different nationalities. By the Office of the Special Prosecutor of Ghana, and also by the Federal Bureau of Investigations. The FBI is par excellence. There is no other investigation organizations in the world that even comes close to the expertise, the experience, and competence of the FBI. I don't know how. Look, in these 8 months of the government, 2, 3, or 4 Ghanaians have been repatriated to the United States to serve prison terms because of crimes they have committed. This same FBI has said that we have looked at everything you've thrown at us. We've looked at everything that has been thrown at this woman for about 2 years now. We've looked at every single allegation that you've asked us, and we found nothing. She's clean as a whistle. And so far, the OSP is telling us, after all that we have done, we have zero, we have nothing. They've come out empty-handed in this Cecilia Dapa case. If this letter, if this report had come out when Akufo-Addo was in power, it would have burned down this village. This town would have been burned down. If this report had come out when the NPP was in power, if NPP had won the election and this report came out, there would have been fires on the streets of Accra because nobody will believe it. The report has come out now, and that is it. This case, in this particular case, you see, I'm beginning to sense a certain concept of a personalized. There's something personal about it. It's like, listen, we must punish Cecilia Dapa. We must convict her. If not, all the noise, the cacophony of voices and noise about corruption would have been for nothing. It's like we must make sure that this woman goes to jail, or we take her man. If not, we cannot justify the noise we made about her. That is vindictive. That is wicked.
Africa, man. Presidential jetta, Ewo Africa, Edimu Pa. Si ehwehwe be se miensa Ghana ka ho. Em South Africa ni kuro ba ko pebi ene omo de no esen Ghana. Enu nti ene timi ye mampani bi fe. E ma obesre Ghana se mumfa mo wiem hyen ne mame na memfa ntu kwan. Because it is fit for purpose.
A few moments later.
Good one. And I'm bisa say sending na ka ho omaka say ye here a new presidential jet. And now monkai.
Oh, and I make say omu share omu assessment ni na presidential jet no and yet fit for purpose.
Okay. So
that's the assessment. But
why is it that when sometimes mistakenly somebody's name is taken off the payroll, it takes forever. Controller, it takes forever for the person to be put back on it. Sometimes it's a genuine mistake from the validators. And and sometimes too, it is a way of some of the heads showing teachers where the power lies. Exactly. And it's very, very painful. Since since Friday, we've had a lot of these reports. It's very painful that genuinely, your name is taken off the payroll for one reason or the other. You have to go to controller. Sometimes 8 good months, and you still haven't been reinstated. Meanwhile, you are there working, and for one reason or the other, you are being validated. How do we cure this?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If you have to do with the validators, of course, they validate. They are in the district, they are in their offices, and they will determine that this number of people deserve to be paid. So if for one reason or the other, they don't validate you, then it's the same process. It's the same validators and institutions that have to go through the process to validate you for us to pay you. We cannot, as controller, pay you if the validators haven't validated you. So these are some of the challenges that
when they bring proof to you that it was wrongly done, and so you have to reinstate the person. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, there are some people who vacate posts and they deserve to be taken off. But those who, for one reason or the other, are genuinely taken off, the validators will tell you they have done the right thing. They have sent the documentation and everything to controller. Sometimes they even show you evidence that this is what they have done. And the beneficiaries come all the way from the various places to come and sit in controller and see, who do I know to help me do this, help me do that. So let's not just explain it away. There are genuine reasons and genuine concerns. I think maybe you should have a desk dedicated specifically for these things, because sometimes when you hear their stories, controller, it's not too good.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a desk, we have a client service who deals with the payroll issues. And I think I remember I mentioned this somewhere that they come direct to the client service, and then their issues are resolved. Those can be issues. The issue is that some of the issues could have even been resolved at the district level, but we don't understand why people still want to see somebody to resolve their issues for them. We think they are genuine concerns. You've gone through the process, and they will be resolved. We'll see to that.
Hello, good evening, welcome to the show. And who won the Akwatia by-election? Who won it? Have you not been monitoring the radio and the TV? Good evening, I had to sip the cocoa. The Akwatia by-election. Tonight we'll look at the Akwatia by-election as our first story. And Musa Dankwa predicted something, but I just saw that his exit poll says something, and it looks like what he predicted came to pass. But the exit poll that he gave us was quite different from the prediction that he made. Anyway, we'll look at everything. So, who won the by-election? Who won it? Who won it? Who won it? Should I tell you who won it? Have a look at this.
Arise for Ghana, oppression of the land, forward and seek your future, development our good, from vision to victory, and this shall be able democrat, Ghana. Our strength in unity, from vision to victory, and this shall be stable democrat, Ghana. Our strength in unity. Strength to unity, from vision to victory, and this shall be stable democrat, Ghana. Our strength to unity, from vision to victory, and this shall be stable democrat.
Conversation tonight, whilst we'll be talking about the removal of the Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Tokonu, which was the big story yesterday. We begin with the analysis from Akwatia as we go on the touch screen and decide how we're going to deal with it. So we know who won the election, but why did the MPP lose an election that the exit poll from Musa Dankwa suggested that they might be able to win? We think we found out why they lost. But let's first look at the Musa Dankwa analysis. If it's ready, I hope it is. If it's ready, we can put it up and then assess it. The earlier announcement. Okay, so this is NDC's Bedu will win Akwatia by-election by at least 53%. Musa Dankwa predicts. So this was the first prediction by Musa Dankwa. There's no date here, but I think 2nd September. Okay, I don't know. That's today. That's today. Anyway, so I'm sure that Ghana Web was reproducing what Musa Dankwa had said. NDC's Bedu will win Akwatia by-election by 53%, says Musa Dankwa. And then let's look at the exit poll. Aha. So in the exit poll, Musa Dankwa put this up. Party affiliation, Akwatia exit poll. What is an exit poll, by the way? I remember many years ago, I was talking to a journalist and she said to me that she was not sure what an exit poll was, and we had a big fight. Anyway, the exit poll is when people have voted and they come out and then you ask them, who did you vote for? Or which party did you vote for? And then they tell you, I voted for this party or I voted for that party. You have to trust that they are speaking the truth. In America, exit poll is very, very important because almost every voter tells them the truth and they are not afraid to share their voting preference. In Africa, because of our nascent democracy is still very new, and because we are coming from military coup d'etats and we are coming from don't keep quiet. If you say, they'll come and arrest you, blah, blah, blah. And so people don't really vouch out and give the information that I voted for this or I voted for that. We all try to be neutral when we go into the poll. We don't want to say we are NDC or MPP. We just want to say we are nice, neutral people. There's nobody who is neutral anywhere. You can be MDC today and MPP tomorrow. That's very allowed. In fact, that is the independence of the voter. That today I vote here, tomorrow I vote here, depending on what they are telling me. That's really proper democracy. When you get to that stage where you have 30% of voters who voted the last time to the left are voting to the right and vice versa, that's when you have real democracy. But here in our society, we are just getting there. So I was delighted that Musa Dankwa was able to put up an exit poll. This is the exit poll that he showed. NPP, 51% of people who were polled, he doesn't give us all the details, but people who were polled said 51% said NPP was going to win. 44%, well, said they voted for NPP, not NPP was going to win. They voted for NPP. 44% said they voted for NDC. Now, this is the exit poll that threw the NPP into the frenzy sometime around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, towards the end of voting when this exit poll came out today. Now, 3% of the people told Musa Dankwa that they were floating voters, and then the other parties were 2%, and the non-disclosed was 1%. So this exit poll suggested to the observers that the New Patriotic Party were most likely going to pick up the seats by something like 51%. Mr. Dankwa had predicted earlier that 53% was going to the NDC, but he gave the exit poll to the MPP. The results comes and the NDC has won very close to the original prediction. What do we do with this exit poll? What shall we say it was? Were the people telling him something wrong? Was he doing guesswork? What was the exit poll about? But ultimately, the NDC won. Why did the MPP lose the election and why did the NDC win the election? The first red flag for the NDC was that they had put back the exit poll. The first red flag for the NDC was that they had changed the candidate who had developed bad blood with the original guy. And so there was going to be a lot of bad blood amongst them. And so in fact, there were videos where people had threatened that they will vote for NPP because their candidates had been sidestepped in this primaries that had been done. And the lawyer for the former candidate had been elected. I think his name is Bediakon. He's the one who eventually won. He had been elected. So there was a bit of bad blood. So it was expected that the MPP will take advantage. By the way, Ben Efson, maybe they'll find it for us. Ben Efson also predicted that the NDC were likely to win the election. Ben Efson, the age-old pollster, Ben Efson, he predicted the NDC were likely to win the election. Anyway, so it was thought in Akwatia that because of this division, you're going to have a situation where the MPP can take advantage of. But it would appear that this came at a bad time for the MPP. Let me have the candidates again. Because the MPP is in a frenzy, very busy to elect a candidate to lead the party, and there's a lot of connotations within that process. So who is going to be party chairman depends on who wins the presidential elections in January. Who is going to be general secretary depends on who wins the presidential elections in January. Who and whom are going to form the national executive of the MPP depends on who wins the elections in January. Who is going to be regional chairman depends on who wins the elections in January. So almost everything in MPP depends on who wins the elections in January. I spoke to one of the important candidates here, and he told me, I asked him that what's happening in Akwatia, and he said, I don't know. Nobody is telling me anything. Nobody has said we should come. Nobody. That's what he was telling me. And so I reckon from that time, I spoke to a few journalists, and they don't want me to mention their name, but I can. I always have this conversation with journalists. I called them, I said, what are you picking up? What are we getting here? And it was beginning to look like when Kennedy Japan decides to go to Akwatia, Baumia people don't really want to be seen with him campaigning. When Dr. Baumia goes to Akwatia, Kennedy Japan people don't really want to be seen with him campaigning. It's not anybody's fault. That's the nature of politics. The election has come at a time when they are in the frenzy for their primaries. They had just submitted their forms last week, and now they are going into the event. You are presidential candidates, you go there, you are spending money on what basis? Are you spending money that the delegates of Akwatia should vote for you in January? Are the delegates outside Akwatia more important than the delegates in Akwatia, given that the addition of the seat to the MPP might not do much? You know, and I'll give you another reason why the NDC needed to win this. I'll tell you. That's coming. So that's really happened. And as I was watching the campaign, And I had people in Akwatia, when was it, Friday? And I asked them to check. I was watching the campaign. It was beginning to look like that. Kwabene Japan, for instance, didn't find his way there at all because he's going to make a calculation. So I go to Akwatia, a seat that doesn't add, doesn't subtract. And I go and spend money with delegates. And then they vote for the MPP candidate. Will they necessarily vote for me at the presidential primaries in 31 January? They might not. So he looks at it and says, Charlie, look, it's Akwatia matter. Let it slip. Now, the leadership of the party, who are now in the leadership, that is Henry Nana Boakye, very hardworking. Justin Kodria, very hardworking. Chairman Bute is representing the chairman. In fact, the chairman is not opposed. He's not feeling too well. So there are people who are challenging Justin Kodria. They want to become the general secretary instead of Justin Kodria sometime after January next year. They are not going to marshal their support and join a campaign that Justin Kodria, in his capacity as the incumbent general secretary, is running, so that the seat is won. Kodria looks good, and then he probably picks up an edge as a result of Akwatia over the other person who wants to be general secretary. So all of these underlining factors were big in the MPP campaign. It was so the MPP could not gather themselves together to take advantage of the division in the NDC. And then you saw the NDC with the government machinery effectively used. Julius Debra, the chief of staff, went there on his own with the Eastern Region appointees. Johnson Asiedu Katia and the rest went in. Now, they went in to fight and they had the resources. The National Security, Richard Jakpa and co. were all seen in Akwatia. So this is the explanation from our perspective, and you can disagree with it. That's very fair. From our perspective, that's what it looks like, but you can think about it and see. So Brian Achampong goes to Akwatia, and he's in two minds. Should I go and spend 100,000 cedis in Akwatia? How will that 100,000 cedis inure to my benefit in January? Is it money thrown away? Maybe yes, maybe no. If we win Akwatia and the guy comes to parliament and we are 88, so what has happened? So this was a problem. And so I believe that this came at a bad time for the MPP, and no leadership at the top. The national leadership is on one leg because some of them are running again, some are not running again. This looks like it's their cup of tea. I'm running against them. I don't want to participate in this. I don't have to fit into this. All of those analyses are very, very important. So you saw that presidential candidate Kwabene Japan did not even go there. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia did quite a bit of work there. He went there more than once. But if Dr. Bawumia is going, and he's not going as a leader of the MPP, and he's going as one of the candidates for January, will I join him if I'm in Kennedy Japan's camp? Will I say, oh, Bawumia is coming? No. So Bawumia goes with his people in Bawumia camp. Kennedy Japan goes with people in Kennedy Japan camp and try and rack up some support in some parts where he's confident that the delegates and the polling station executives are going to vote for him. So it was really a big crisis period, and that is why the MPP were hoping that the NDC does not contest, because this was going very difficult. At a time when it's coming, it's very, 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 very difficult for them. And that's what happened, and that's what reflected in the results, except that we still don't understand how the exit poll showed such a big lead for the MPP, and eventually, by the time the results were counted, the MPP had lost the election. So what shall I say to these men? Okay, congratulations for all of you. Dr. Osei Aweduchum also went in there. He went to Akwatia to do his bit. But again, if Osei Aweduchum is going, Brian Achampong's people are not going to go with him. If Brian Achampong's people are going, they're not going with him. This one is going, this one is not going to go with him. But after January, they have one leader, and there's a timetable for national officers. National officers are elected, and they have formed one unit together. It is only then that we can test the formidability of the MPP, whether they've risen up from the doldrums of the 41% or whether they are going even further down. There's more time to look at that. Now, why was the NDC so interested? So somebody will say that the NDC already has 2/3 majority. Why were they so interested in Akwatia? I'll tell you a secret. There could be another by-election pending in Asante Achim. I don't know whether it's north or south. Asante Achim. The seat was won by an independent candidate who massively defeated Andy Apiakubi, massively, and won. It may well be that there could be a by-election, not because he has passed. No, far from that. No, he's not passing, and he's a young man. He's not passing by the grace of God. But there are some legal matters, some of it extra jurisdiction, that may occasion that kind of situation. So if the NDC does not win Akwatia, and they lose Akwatia to the MPP, It means that the NDC has, now this independent candidate I'm talking about currently sits with the NDC. So it means that the NDC has 2/3 exactly. 2/3 exactly. If they don't win Akwatia. Asante Achim North is more difficult for the NDC to win than to win Akwatia. Akwatia is easier for the NDC to win than that Asante Achim one. So if the NDC does not win Akwatia, does not contest in Akwatia and win as they have done now, so that they have 2/3 plus 1, and they remain at 2/3 exactly, and the Asante Achim by-election occurs, and there is the MPP win it, as Asante Achim is currently is an independent candidate. The MPP independent, of course, but it's an independent candidate. But if the MPP have a candidate that wins it, and the person comes as MPP, then NDC were going to be short of the 2/3 by 1. So they will no longer have the absolute 2/3. That may be the reason why the NDC thought that, in spite of all the moral considerations, you can call them whatever name you want, they are going to Akwatia to deal with it. That's what happened. And then we can come to all the constitutionalists who are talking about there should be no by-election. There shouldn't be a by-election, competitive by-election when somebody dies some say within the first 2 years, some say throughout the 4 years, some say within the first year. I think that there will be occasion enough for us to discuss some of these matters. But okay, so is that where's the actual results? Do they have the final results? If they have it, they'll send to me. But the final results from Akwatia is that the National Democratic Congress candidate, his name is Bediako Bernard. He pulled 16,896 votes. Currently, we are talking about 110 polling stations out of 119 polling stations. So with 110 polling stations counted, with what will be left then of 119, maybe 9 polling stations left, the MPP's Kwame Asumedu has 13,767, whilst the NDC's Bernard Bediako has 16,896 votes. Now, the 9 polling stations left will not matter because if you add all the total number of registered voters in the 9 polling stations, it does not. It's not bigger than the difference in the 2 candidates. That is to say that if you add all the 9 polling stations to Kwame Asumedu, he still does not assail the lead of Bernard Bediako. So, congratulations to Bernard Bediako. He is the elected Member of Parliament for Akwatia, and that's 1 more seat for the already humongous National Democratic Congress in Parliament. And so most of the things that Parliament will do in this 9th Parliament will be attributed to NDC. The good, the not so good, and all the other things will be attributed to the NDC. That's the downside of having a big majority. If parliamentarians go for car loans now, and it's trumpeted by civil society and human rights watchers and corruption watchers, and they feel that there's a problem with the car loan, the general public are going to think that is an NDC problem. MPP had the same problem in the 2016 to 2020. Anything that went to Parliament that citizens thought was not good, even if all parliamentarians were benefiting from it, it was always thought of as an MPP problem. And that's what is going to happen. When you have a majority, you always have to bite that bullet. But majority is very important for anybody in government. So yes, it's good. It's a good feather in the cap of the NDC, and that's why we praise them. Let's go back to the NDC montage. When we come back, we will look at one of the high points of the Akwatia situation. Everybody was hoping that there will be no real violence like we saw in Ablekuma, and the police seem to have rounded up the Ablekuma people. But here was my friend Chairman Azoka, who was threatening thunder and brimstone against the minority leader. That was bad, very, very bad. So we'll look at that. That's the ugly side of Akwatia. But this is the beautiful side. Elections have happened. Nobody died. Nobody was killed. Nobody was beaten up. Not real violence. As at now, we don't know the whole story, but as at now, not real violence. And the leader is Bernard Bediako. Congratulations to the NDC. Here is a montage again for President John Dramani Mahama. Later tonight, we are going into Article 146 and to Edu Lodge to discuss the conversations about the now removed Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu. Here's a montage.
Arise for Ghana, of the land. strengthen unity from billion to billion. The NDC shall lead. Stable democrat, Ghana, our strengthen unity. Strength to unity from billion to billion. The NDC shall lead. Stable democrat, Ghana, our strength to unity from billion to billion. The NDC shall lead. Stable democrat.
The not so good side of Akwatia. This is Chief Azoka, and this is the indefatigable Alexander Afenyo-Markin, one of the best leaders of parliament yet to see, but one of the shining stars, almost punching at the Hall of Fame of minority leadership in parliament, Alexander Afenyo-Markin. Now, what happened in Akwatia today, according to the reports, is that Alexander Markin was doing his rounds with his people. It is said that he went around the NDC office. I'm not sure what he went to do there, but that's very normal. I've been to a by-election before in Kumeu, and I've been to another one in Asin North. It's very normal to see cross-party people visiting the offices to go and have a chat and ask them, how are you doing, teasing them that we're going to beat you, we'll beat you. And when we went to Asin North, I saw Asedun Katia with Osafo Mafo punching his stomach and saying that, oh, we're going to defeat you people. You think that you can take the seat from us? And they had those pleasantries. So I'm not so sure what the offense is if Afenyo-Markin was going to the NDC office. But Chief Azoka said that if he had met Afenyo-Markin at the NDC office, like Afenyo-Markin, there will be a by-election in his hometown because he was going to kill him. This is how Chief Azoka said.
Come here, that we will go do by-election in Afenyo-Markin house. Here will not be parliament. Here is a free and fair field. Yeah. What will be your message to your members, NDC? Everybody to do ready. If they come strong, we should come strong. Here where you go lost too much. They go do by election in hometown. How should they be ready? They are ready for this. That rush come here. That we will go do by election in Afenyo-Markin house. Here will not be parliament. Here is a free and fair field. What will be your message to your members, NDC? Everybody to do ready. If they come strong, we should come strong. Here where you go lost too much. They go do by election in hometown.
Why? Why are they going to do by election at Afenyo-Markin's hometown? Because he come fiao, we will also come fiao. What's the meaning of that? What's this? Why are we? If it's part of the excitement, it's okay. But if it's really serious threat of violence, then it undermines the democratic tenets that we have been fighting for forever. It's just not good. It's very, very bad. Chief Azoka, we beg you, we beg you, pa. This one, dear, we don't have strong. We don't have strong to fight you. You have strong. We don't have strong. But the strong is not the important thing for democracy. Democracy is you speak, I speak, and then we all obey the law. But if you have strong more than me and you are using the strong to bully me, let's watch Chief Azoka again. Look at his demeanor. Watch Chief Azoka again. Have a look.
That rush come here. That we will go do by election in Afenyo-Markin house. Here will not be parliament. Here is a free and fair field. Yeah. What will be your message to your members, NDC? Everybody to do ready. If they come strong, we should come strong. Here where you go lost too much. They go do by election in hometown. How should they be ready? They are ready for this.
Democracy requires cool heads of leadership, and I like the way Afenyo-Markin responded. And I knew that the media were going to get back to him and say that, hey, Azoka says he's going to kill you, and see whether they can get some fodder for news. And Perhaps he's going to get angry because this can annoy anyone. He's going to get angry and talk. But look at the demeanor with which Afenyomakin answered.
On radio and TV, do also book. Well, I am not summer. As I am the Onina Zoka boys, I won't mind there. Wobron Crofona, Okunkum Crofunti. I am the first time or threatened, but the young who into me, brother, me catch MPP paying far. One can extra time now, about 2. As in saying, full soldiers were ground. Into ma for Zoka and some can or ma obi in ye in not on trunk on shed him there. Also, politics one fight is showing yet was a kudu. Young paying far was a part in Bobazi or a JB down corner. Next, but for what can they jail?
Afenyomakin ended by saying that he's not Osahini for anything. That didn't show up in the video. So this is what happened between Azoka and Alexander Afenyomakin. In your reckoning, who won? Will you give Afenyomakin 10 and Azoka 2? Or will you give Azoka 7 and Afenyomakin 6? We are marking them over 10. Tell me in the text messages, who do you think won the democratic exchange? Okay, so that's Afenyomakin and Azoka. Now, yesterday, okay, before I go to yesterday, let's take some text messages and then set out where we are, and then we can deal with it as soon as the text messages are over. Fatih is here to help us with what the social media is saying. Fatih, what are they saying?
Right, thank you, Paul. So coming from Lord Efri, Lord says Ghanaians are still angry with the NPP. They should change the dynamics by bringing a new face to lead. Baumia wants help. Ken will be the best candidate to unify the party. Raymond Insu also says the current NPP national executives needs an immediate overhaul. The earlier this is done, the better for the party. Losing the Akwatia seat to the NDC is a major blow and highlights the leadership crisis within the NPP. Thomas T. also says this victory is a vindication of the NDC stance that the 2024 election was rigged for the late NX Kumi. It's also a high confirmation that the President JM and the NDC can win any election in Ghana. Jina Akbar from Tamale says, sometimes I blame our leaders. When we get power, we misuse it and leave our members. This is how NDC will show us how power works, but it's a learning process for us. When we learn, fine. We refuse to learn it, will continue to harm the NPP. Now, Francis also says, given Dr. Mahmoud Baumia and the current NPP leadership, achieving victory in an election that influences Ghanaian lives seems uncertain. Master Planner Jr. from Kentampo says, the most valuable reserve my party NPP needs to be searching and saving is unity in this process of rebuilding. Losing this by-election is nothing so serious. During President Kufuor's term from 2000 to 2004, there were 7 by-elections and NPP won all those elections. Regardless, the NPP did their homework well and came back in 2008. Let us work together for victory coming December 2028. It's still possible. Emmanuel Border says the NPP should cue from this loss, be discerning enough about choosing the flag bearer. I don't belong to any camp, but the AKA 9 per camp cannot wrestle power from the NDC, especially if the NDC feel their seat in Ketia. Also, Charles Osei says John Mahama has fulfilled his promise by removing Getchit Tokono as the Chief Justice. And coming from Opari Philippi says, President Mahama becomes the 2nd president in Ghana's history to remove a Chief Justice from office. And lastly, coming from Opari Philip, he says, honestly, Kwame Asuma didn't have an inspiring message. He overexploited emotional appeal and hoped that his constituents would vote for him because of the passing of Ernest Kumi. Also, Asumadu's demeanor and posture throughout the campaign contrasted that of his predecessors. He lacked Ernest Kumi's grit, fluency, and charm. I find it intriguing that a consensus was reached to present Asumadu as the NPP's candidate in this election. Sometimes money doesn't win elections. Your message and how you carry yourself does. Now back to you, Paul.
Alrighty. Thank you, Fati. And we have to give you our take on the Chief Justice matter, shouldn't we? But we take a short break before then. When we come back, we're going to set out the conversation from the historical perspective between 1960 and 1992. What happened with the relationships between executive and the head of the judiciary? From 1992, what happened? We've also found out that the 1969 Constitution did not have an Article 146 process. 1969 Constitution was the first constitution after the 1960, which had a blanket opportunity for His Excellency the President to sack a judge if he was in disagreement with any ruling that the judge had given. In fact, that law was not there before. There was a sort of space that Dr. Nkrumah exploited to remove Sir Akukosa. Thereafter, he got Parliament to legislate in a way that allowed the President of the First Republic under the 1960 Constitution as amended to be able to remove Supreme Court judges or all kinds of judges, whether High Court or Court of Appeal. Judges of the Superior Court of Judicature were to be removed by the President at will if the President disagreed with the ruling that they had given. So in pursuit of that, His Excellency the President Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah removed Edward Akufo-Addo as Chief Justice as a Supreme Court judge, removed Mr. Kofi Adumoah-Bosman as Supreme Court judge. Now guess who Kofi Adumoah-Bosman is? Kofi Adumoah-Bosman is the grandfather of the former Deputy Chief of Staff, Mr. Emmanuel Bosman. They call him Von Brazi. That's his grandfather, Kofi Adumoah-Bosman, the judge. It's his grandfather who begat his late father, William Bosman, who was a famous president of the Ghana Bar Association for the heyday days of the 70s and led the Ghana Bar many times. And then that's the lineage. So it's very MPP-ish, isn't it? Was Kofi Bosman MPP? I don't know. He was a Supreme Court judge that was fired by the Osajifo. So in the 1969 Constitution, as you realize in our presentation where we get there, they did not have that clause. And then 79, then 92. We tell you all that. What we will be telling you also is to look out for the story I have with the Charlotte Osei issue, because we needed to spend time to deal with the Charlotte Osei issue. So we prepared for it because it's being compared and contrasted to what has happened with Justice Tokonu right now. We'll deal with that. What happened in the Charlotte Osei issue? Is it the same? Is it different? Is it worse? Is it whatever it is? We'll show you all of that. And in the end, we have some videos that you would like, some videos of historical consequence that you would really like. It's all coming up. This is Good Evening Ghana. It's 4 minutes at the top of the hour. Let's take a short break. When we get back, Chief Justice Tokonu did not survive the Article 146 process. But why? When we get back.
All those of the camera near me. All those of when they say TV mommy cooking and porridge, TV mommy cooking and porridge. Today na waiting. Today na yam porridge. You know they understand. Today na yam porridge. Same the pot. You know they understand. Same the onions. Same the pepper. Same the oil. The salt. Same the vegetable. Carry the camera near me. Same the yam. Same the yam. Today na yam porridge. You know they understand. Today na yam porridge. Oh boy, I go buy yam me. The new yam wey dey na me mete. I can't define old yam wey make bim. I not see you. Na new yam na I won't cook so. See my face. Carry the camera near my face. Shoot cap for my mouth. It sure cotton. Cotton. Today na yam porridge. I say cotton. Carry the camera near me. You know they understand. Camera near me. The yam don't do. The yam porridge don't do. Same the yam. Same the yam. Carry the camera near me. Like this now the yam don't do now. I won't put the vegetable. You know they understand. I won't put the vegetable for inside now. You go scatter vegetable. No they cook yam porridge say you not scatter vegetable. I wash my hands oh. You not carry the camera near me. Camera near me. See man. Oh, see man. Carry the camera. Oh, see man. Where you they go? You won't drop come on. Carry. Oh. film the yam. Film am again. Oh, they film the yam. Now so they say they cook yam porridge. You know they understand. Now so they say they cook yam porridge. They know they turn head upside down. Same man, yam porridge with level. The yam porridge make beam. I say the new yam may not go make beam. The new yam may, as I cook and finish, it make beam. It should cut time. Cut. Carry the camera near me. Camera near me. You know they understand. Carry the camera. Come. Film the yam porridge. This video, and I go tag. Carry camera near me. This video, and I go tag gege. You know understand. You they film the yam porridge. The yam porridge, the face make beam. You know they understand. Mona try, mona share this video. Make gege see ya. Say yam now face. Yam face don't they make beam. You know they understand. Film the yam. Film the yam. Film the yam porridge. Carry the camera near me. Film the pure water. Film the pure water. Oh, the yam porridge face make beam. Yeah? I understand. Mona give me a location. You know what? I don't share them. Mona give me a location. I won't begin the. Mona tag again. You know understand? The yam face make beam. You know me mete. They don't the shop mete again. You know understand? The face make beam. Carry the camera. Come. Film the yam now. It's just content. You just film the face of the yam. It make beam. Carry camera near me. Film my face. Sugar for my mouth. Film the yam porridge. Film the yam porridge. You know the film man. It's so cold time. Today na yam porridge. Cold time. Cold time.
Na mind na dia Ghana for near the chi every exchange rate. I quite remember say omo this 1 cedi levy bi omo koto a fuel product fuel so no. Finance minister can say is making sure say dollar exchange rate no $1 no be gina from now wa kopima fuel be kwa ewie no. Embo 10 cedis but gradually e cost na e sound so affective fuel because 8 months omo nya she bi en one more maye omo nya she bia de e what system no as Ghana for
It's 2 minutes past the top of the hour, 10 o'clock. A lot of text messages coming in. Let's go and look at the editorial montage. And thereafter, I'll be on the touch screen to give you the presentation. Let's have a look. Let's start with the editorial montage. Let's go. Oh, this one to be matter. Editorial montage.
Ghana, we now have freedom. Ghana, land of freedom. Toils of the brave and the sweat of their labors. Toils of the brave which have brought results. We now have freedom. Ghana, land of freedom. Toils of the the brave and the sweat of their labors, toils of the brave which have brought results.
It's now time for us to deal with a very controversial matter. And yesterday, we all heard the letter from the President's office accepting the recommendations of the Article 146 Committee to remove the Lord Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokonu, said that she's no longer Chief Justice. We're going to take just a few minutes of your time to do the historical analysis of all of these things and then tell you what happened, a few things that we know, and just to set the conversation in perspective. I know that this conversation, now that Akwatia by-election is over, has been won by the NDC, this conversation is going to pick up steam again from tomorrow up until the weekend. It's going to be a big conversation for all the weekend stories. So for young people who watch us, we just want to set the perspective for you. How has the presidency dealt with the disagreement with the head of the judiciary? It's important that in all constitutional regimes, and beginning from 1778, when Montesquieu wrote that book entitled The Spirit of the Laws, the issue about separation of powers, independence of the three arms of government, and some people add the fourth being the media, has become very, very paramount. And it's almost like a measure of how a democratic environment is working, whether the legislative arm is independent of the executive and vice versa, and the judiciary and all of that. Because there's always bound to be tension between the heads of these institutions. One wants something done. The executive has its role to implement policy. The legislature has its role to make law. But you will find that in checks and balances, all of them have a way of, legislature has a way of doing policy or shaping policy or changing policy. The judiciary has a way of changing legislation by using, they call it judge-made law. And when there's judge-made law, it means that the legislature, the judiciary, is taking up the role of the legislature by making law. So these are, there are tensions there, and that's what really every constitution and the conduct of the constitutional actors is set out to delimit. Okay, so we look at, well, there was 1960, there was 169, 92, 2001, 2017, 18, 2023. Now, we have listed in the history of Ghana where there's been these brushes that have happened between especially between the executive president and the judiciary. The first one occurred in 1963. What date was it again? Do they have the date? The date was 11th December 1963. There had been a bomb thrown on Kwame Nkrumah somewhere in Kulungugu in the upper region, as it was then called. And the people involved were some important people who were arrested. The foreign minister, Akwatia, was arrested. He used to be interior minister. At that time, he was foreign minister. He was arrested. Terry Adamafiu, the information minister, was also arrested. The trial was known as the Terry Adamafiu trial. After the trial, Akwatia and Terry Adamafiu were set free. Others were convicted. His Excellency was not happy with it. So what did he do? He fired Sir Akukosa. Sir Akukosa was the same person who swore Kwame Nkrumah in during his 1960 event. But Sir Akukosa was fired. Nkrumah fired Akukosa for the ruling against the government in the Kulungugu. What happened was Akukosa chaired the panel that said that Terry Adamafiu and Akwatia were not guilty of the offense of premeditated murder against the president. On 11 December 1963, they were summarily dismissed by the president. Then the Constitution at the time was sort of quiet on it. So the president acted by removing Akukosa and then passed legislation. So we write it here. Nkrumah rushed a bill to Parliament through his Attorney General, the Honorable Col Swansea, seeking to gain the powers to fire judges at will. Subsequently, the Parliament passed that law for the Osagyefo. So Edward Akufo-Addo was sacked, and also sacked was Kofi Adumoah Bosman and R.S. Blame. They were all fired as Supreme Court justices. So that ended one chapter. So when the Second Republic came, everyone in Ghana and those who wrote the Constitution were eager to stop the president or the leader of the government from being able to remove the Chief Justice. So the 1969 Constitution has no role for the president to remove the Chief Justice. It has no Article 146 process. In fact, the 1969 Constitution went to the other extreme, where the leader of the government, the Prime Minister, can under no circumstance remove a Chief Justice. Nobody can send a petition. That window was completely closed as to whether somebody can send a petition for the removal of the Chief Justice. Given the history that the First Republic came from, the good people of Ghana at the time decided that no, they don't want that. So the only thing that Buzia could do when, of course, the brushes always happen, Buzia was concerned about a ruling of the Supreme Court. What was it about? somebody who had been fired. It was thought that they were Nkrumah people, so the Buziat people took over and they were firing some of the important leaders of the Nkrumah people. They gathered 568 people. They call it the Apollo 568, and they were all given letters to go home. They were chief directors. One of them, Mr. Salah, decided to test the matter at the Supreme Court and said that the Prime Minister and the government cannot sack him. In the ruling, which Salah won, the Supreme Court's justices, the case entitled Salah and Attorney General, the Supreme Court ruled by a majority, Philip Archer in the majority, EMP Soa in the majority, Apalu, three of them for the majority, Justice Srebo and Justice Enin for the minority. They ruled in favor of the applicant that the Prime Minister cannot sack Mr. Salah. Buzia was concerned, but he didn't have the power to sack judges because the system had protected the judges through the provisions of the 1969 Constitution. So what did Buzia say? That's Justice Soa here, that's Justice Apalu here. And then Buzia said to the general public that no court can enforce any decision that seeks to compel the government to employ or re-employ anyone. That will be a futile exercise, and I wish to make that perfectly clear. 18th April 1970 is when Prime Minister Buzia made the statement. Buzia did not have the power to fire the judges, but perhaps if he did, maybe he would have fired somebody, because these things get to high pitch. But it is important that the system works in a way that stops the politicians who can get emotional about some of these things and stops them quite nicely. So that was the experience over there in the Second Republic. Now, let's come to the 1992 Constitution. Suffice it to say, though, that the 1979 Constitution had a provision like Article 146. I think it was Article 125 or something like that. It's in the 1979 Constitution. You can Google and check. Article 124, they are being corrected. It's Article 124 of the 1979 Constitution had a provision very similar to Article 146 that we have today. It allowed the impeachment process, but it was to be guided very, very carefully and used only sparingly in the extreme situations. But enter 1992, where we have an Article 146 process that could herald the removal of a Supreme Court judge or a Chief Justice. On 31st December in the 31st December decision, which was in 1993 actually, Flight Lieutenant Rawlings was unhappy with the ruling. What happened? The Supreme Court gave a verdict, a very damning one, a 5-4 decision in favor of the NPP, which had gone to court to apply that J.J. Rawlings' military coup d'etat that brought him to power, and which of course ended and heralded the 1992 Constitution, cannot continuously be celebrated under a constitutional dispensation. This was the case that was sent to court by Peter Ajete, may he rest in peace, former Speaker of Parliament, and at that time, a leading member of the NPP. He later became its chairman. Peter Ajete was successful in the court by a 5-4 decision against the Attorney General that Flight Lieutenant Rawlings' beloved day of his most beloved day in his life as a politician, the day of 31st December, which had been celebrated for 11 years as a holiday, can no longer be celebrated as a holiday. J.J. Rawlings did not take kindly to that, and he had something to say. But you know that J.J. Rawlings, under the 1992 Constitution, was also precluded from issuing instructions to remove a Chief Justice or to sack a judge. Otherwise, perhaps, he would have sacked Justice N.Y.B. Adade, who marshaled the majority opinion, and we know the story behind that. If you read my book, there's a big story behind that, what happened. We'll get the book for you very soon. Justice Adade would have been fired by Mr. Rawlings if indeed Mr. Rawlings had the power to do so. But the 1992 Constitution did not allow the president to do so, except by an Article 146 process. Mr. Rawlings was not interested in pursuing an Article 146 process. Nobody sent a petition, and so Adade was not sacked. But JJ was very upset about it. Now, this is the majority in the ruling. Adade led the majority opinion. GRM Francois was there. Justice Amoasechi, Justice Akins, and Justice Efron Benjamin, who actually turned the day in favor of the majority opinion on that day. The dissenting opinion was from the Chief Justice Philip Archer, Justice Aban, later a Chief Justice, Justice Joyce Bamford Addo, later a Speaker of Parliament, and Justice Ampere, may he rest in peace. They were the dissenting opinion in the famous matter of 31st. So that now we are in the Fourth Republic. Let's move to more interesting ones. In 2001 and 2002, there was another matter. John Agyekum Kufuor had just become president. The NPP had campaigned in the 2000 election on corruption, as all opposition parties these days do, isn't it? So they had campaigned on corruption, and it was now said that the courts were slow. You know, the way the courts handled the matters, the base of the MPP were not happy with the Kufuor administration, and so Justice Redu, who was the Chief Justice at the time, came up with a policy that they should have fast-track high courts, where systems will move faster than in the regular courts, and this is where all the criminal prosecution will begin. Mr. Chikata, who was at that time being prosecuted for causing financial loss to the state, through his lawyer, Professor Evio Dankwa, challenged the status of the fast-track high courts, whether or not they were properly, they had been properly assembled as courts, because there are processes by which courts are assembled by the Lord Chief Justice. The matter went to court, and with a 5-4 majority, the Supreme Court held that the fast-track high courts were not properly set up. John Ajekum Kufuor was quite upset with the situation, and this was a big decision against the MPP. But here again, the 1992 Constitution does not allow the president to remove any Chief Justice or to sack any Chief Justice, except through an Article 146 process. So Kufuor's only window was to go for a review of the matter, which is allowed by the Constitution. In the circumstances at that time, there were 10 Supreme Court judges only. Justice Redu had instituted a practice direction where all judges will sit when the matter is being heard, and therefore just one judge, there were 11 Supreme Court judges, one judge was not available. His name is Lamte. He was not available to sit, and so the 9 sat. So Justice Lamte came back, and it will be 10 because an even number. Justice Afre was appointed from the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court to give the number 11. On the review, the decision was overturned and the fast-track High Court survived. But this is how Kufuor reacted to that one. Then come important one to this one. Maybe we should cut this from here as well, producer. This is a very important one. So that's all being talked about now. So I think we ended with the history. Now let's get to the present. The Charlotte Osei matter has been a big conversation right now, so I like to deal with it. Now, the Charlotte Osei one, yeah? What was it about? The Honorable Charlotte Osei had been appointed by the NCC, had been appointed by President Mahama to be the leader of the NCC, National Commission on Civic Education. And she had done quite a good job. They had engaged her at that time in those days through the media. And I could tell, and anyone who engaged her could tell that she's a woman of ideas. That's you get that from Charlotte very quickly when you talk to her. She's a woman of real ideas. Now, after that, she was now appointed after Afarijan retired. And you know that Afarijan retired after the election petition of 2013, where it was felt that he was not able to discharge himself in a way that was loved by everyone before the Supreme Court. Nonetheless, he retired. And so there was a lot of tension in who becomes the next Electoral Commissioner, if you like, chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Charlotte Osei was appointed. Now, as soon as Charlotte Osei was appointed, there was a bit of constellation here and there, you know, within the MPP ranks about the person who had been appointed, and I took a personal interest in the matter. So I decided to talk to key MPP people. I'm talking about, this is about 2014, you know, to talk to important MPP people about why Charlotte Osei was a problem. And they told me something significant, and I share with you today. I never shared it publicly, even though I'm not going to mention names, but you can get the story. They said to me that they had been looking at the Nigerian election of 2015. If you know that Nigeria voted in 2015, we voted in 2016. They always vote. They are voting in 2027. We are voting in 2028. So the Nigerian election had delivered one of the purest elections in Nigeria. And so the Nigerian Electoral Commissioner, I can't remember his name now. Those of you remember, please send me a text. Professor something. He had become very famous, and he had been to Ghana many times. He had become very famous for delivering in Nigeria, where they thought elections were never free and fair, what looked like a stunning election that brought Muhammadu Buhari to power. The election had occasioned the defeat of Goodluck Jonathan, the incumbent president, who was very close to President John Dramani Mahama because their circumstances were similar. Both of them had become president on the death of their president from vice president position, had won elections, okay? And this was Goodluck. Sorry. So, again. So the MPP had taken notes from Nigeria. And this important MPP guy said to me that when they spoke to the Nigerians, they told them that the first and major most important thing that was done was cleaning up the electoral register, closing it down and opening up a new electoral register, because they noticed that the difference between the 2011 elections which Goodluck Jonathan had won and the 2015 had a significant number of people removed from the electoral roll when the new voters register was compiled. So they thought that Ghana also had the same problem. And looking at the election 2013 petition, it appeared that the electoral roll had many major problems, isn't it? So they wanted also in Ghana, with the new electoral commissioner, to decide that we're going to do a new voters register. So they said their problem with Charlotte Osei arose when, upon attaining the job, one of the first things she said was that she was not going to tamper with the voters register. That's rubbed on the wrong side of the NPP, and that is what I was told. Then began this avalanche of criticism of Charlotte and pointing to her bias, etc., etc. So that was there. That was a big story. Now, I had occasion to myself do an editorial on Charlotte Osei when she launched something, and I was quite upset with it that the elections are coming, where she was launching a logo or a brand or something like that. Okay, after that, friends of mine and friends of hers spoke to me, and we worked together, and I went to meet with her. She was magnanimous in burying the hatchet and decided that she would grant me an interview. But by that time, the whole big issue about MPP's avalanche on Charlotte Osei was a real big deal. Every day in the news, every IPAC meeting, there was fights between MPP and Charlotte Osei. And Charlotte Osei would stand her ground, and MPP would say that she's trying to rig the election for John Mahama. And she had granted interviews and said that there's no way an electoral commissioner can rig an election. Charlotte was the first person to say that. But nevertheless, there was a lot of pressure on her. In fact, when she granted me the interview and I interviewed her, and I'm going to show the tape in a minute, I had to ask her whether she would vote, because this was the level of the tension within the Charlotte Osei and MPP NDC conversation, whether she was going to vote. Listen to what she told me when I had to ask her whether she was going to vote.
Would you vote? Would you exercise your right to vote on voting day? Because we've been talking about this symbolism of impartiality of the referee in such a tense mistrust, as you put it, kind of atmosphere. Would you vote?
First, I will not be voting on election day like you. I'll be voting on the
special voting.
Special voting.
So would you vote?
No, I would not.
You will not vote?
No.
Why?
Because I don't want to. And it's not compulsory.
Yeah, it's not compulsory. You don't want to vote?
No.
Should I vote?
Yes, you should.
I should vote?
As a former chair of the NCC, I strongly urge you to vote.
But you won't vote?
It's a special privilege.
But you won't vote?
No, I won't.
Who should I vote for?
Oh, that is entirely up to you. But I would say that do not vote based on issues and based on where you want to see this country go and who you think can take this country to where you want this country to go.
That's interesting. Have you voted?
That was how important it was. I mean, it was such that we needed to ask Charlotte Osei whether you're going to vote and whether you're not going to vote. Okay, so in the end, she conducted the elections of 2016, and Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was victorious, and Charlotte Osei graciously announced the results in favor of Akufo-Addo. During his inaugural speech at the Independence Square, Akufo-Addo found occasion to single out Charlotte Osei for praise, and to praise also the conduct of the 2016 elections. She appeared to have delivered the elections in a sterling way, and everybody was happy with the results. Anyway, then government of NPP starts. Of course, some people come up and say that there's still a problem at the Electoral Commission. The main issue against Charlotte Osei was that the petition filed against her to the president was filed by the staff of the Electoral Commission, the leaders of the staff of the Electoral Commission, some other commissioners. In fact, you know, there are about 6 or 7 commissioners, and the Electoral Commission is the chairperson. She's almost like a primus inter pares, as they say, the first among equals. So Charlotte Osei was a chairperson, and the petition was filed by people who worked closely with her and who were alleging that she had occasioned, through the work she did, procurement breaches. She had ignored this. There was clear, very bad blood between Charlotte Osei as the leader of the Electoral Commission and the 2 others who were with her. You know, so the petition was filed. Now, before then, there was a petition filed against Justice Kingsley Akwa. In the case of A.J. Chum, that sets the parameters on what happens when a petition is filed against a Chief Justice, because we have not even thought about it. The Supreme Court had to settle the matter on how the prima facie is achieved when the matter is filed and it's involved the Chief Justice. When an Article 146 process is filed against people who are not Chief Justices, either they are judges of the Supreme Court or they are leaders of the constitutional bodies, Commission of Human Rights, Electoral Commission, and etc., etc., those people, the petition goes to the president, and the president submits it to the Chief Justice, and then the Chief Justice will settle the prima facie. So when the petition was filed against Charlotte Osei, and the learning was still new in those days, whether or not President Akufo-Addo was going to make the prima facie decision, people who were close to Akufo-Addo said to us that If Akufo-Addo has to make that decision, he would likely dismiss the application because he doesn't like these things. He doesn't like, these processes. Anyway. But the new learning emerged from Ejechum that it's not Akufo-Addo who is going to make the decision. It is the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice, as I've said already at the time, was Sophia Ekufu. And so the petition went to Sophia Ekufu. Now, the supporters of Charlotte Osei, some of them were concerned that the petition going to Sophia Ekufu is risky and that they are most likely going to return a verdict of a prima facie has been made, and therefore the process should begin. Article 146 should begin against Charlotte, because it was widely rumored then that during his tenure as president of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama in the first term had on occasion recommended Charlotte Osei's appointment to the Supreme Court. The rumor had it further that it was widely alleged that this recommendation by the president as part of a list of Supreme Court judges, which included Charlotte Osei, had offended some people at the Supreme Court. We don't know who they were, but they seemed to be very influential people within the Supreme Court's bench and arrangement, that they had been offended by the thought that Charlotte Osei's name had been added to a list of Supreme Court judges to go through the Judicial Council and then eventually to Parliament. After the hula baloo and the razzmatazz, it turned out that cool heads prevailed, but cool heads prevailed so that Charlotte Osei's name was removed from the list. So those who knew this information, those who had alleged this information, suggested that Charlotte Osei's name going back to the Supreme Court for a prima facie determination was going to be very difficult for her. I don't know the validity of that and whether it's verifiable. But anyway, this was rumors that was wide around there. Those of us news reporters, we always hear these things. So the petition went to Sophia Ekufu. Sophia Ekufu made a determination that the prima facie case has been found. And then the trial started. The people who had petitioned themselves were also impeached. As you know, the two people who had petitioned, who were staff of the Electoral Commission, commissioners of the Electoral Commission, were also impeached. But they were represented, as the trial started and we got to hear, they were represented very importantly by somebody that's surprised Charlotte Osei a little bit. It was Mr. Maxwell Opoku-Agyeman, who had been a director of the Ghana School of Law. In fact, Maxwell had his own problems with the Ghana School of Law. It is rumored that he was removed as the director of legal education on disciplinary grounds, and friends of Charlotte Osei called that poetic justice. Maxwell Opoku-Agyeman was now the lawyer for the petitioners against Charlotte Osei, and Maxwell was mates with Charlotte Osei at Legon, and it's said that people who were their mates in the class called up Maxwell and said, "But why are you doing this? What's wrong with you? What's that? This and that and that and that." Charlotte herself, I understand from friends of hers that she was very disappointed to have a Maxwell Opoku-Agyeman leading the charge against her, somebody that was her mate, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so Maxwell was the lawyer for the people. Now, the case proceeded, and at the end of the day, it came out that the recommendation had been made. When the recommendation was made, new learning came up again from Ejechum that President Akufo-Addo has no role to play. Once the decision has been made, he has to just, announce the decision. That's really what it is. The only difference is that the committee make the decision, they send it to the president, and the president announces the decision. He doesn't do anything beyond that. That's the learning that was given to us, coming from Ejechum and those who are scholars and theorists of Article 146. Now, Charlotte Osei was removed. Today, we are hearing that what is good for the goose is good for the ganders. So you move Charlotte Osei, you move all of that. But the only slight difference that we like to point out, because we are trying to put out an intellectual document, is that Charlotte Osei was part of the executive. Her removal by the process was executive and executive. This one is a bit different. This is executive and judiciary. This is not the first time we are having that. If we flip our chart forward, we will see that in 2022-2023, a petition was received by President Akufo-Addo for the removal of Chief Justice Eni Yeboah. It was a petition received by some people. I don't want to go into the details, but we can if we have time later on. And the President Akufo-Addo dismissed the petition. It didn't see the light of day. There was no prima facie, blah, blah, blah. So that was the first time. No, that was the first time. The first time was Justice Kingsley Akwa. This was the second time that a petition had been received by the president. Justice Kingsley Akwa's petition was in J.A. Kufuor's time, and this petition was in Akufo-Addo's time, both of them MPP era. So Akufo-Addo dismissed that petition. Then came another one, and the tail end of Akufo-Addo's administration came another one for the removal of Justice Tokonu from Kweku Azar, our friend whose document we looked at the other day. Kweku Azar wrote to the president concerned about Justice Tokonu, and President Akufo-Addo went through the process, replied to the general public, sent the document to Justice Tokonu for her response, etc., etc., and Akufo-Addo dismissed the petition against Justice Tokonu. Now, today, a new petition has arisen. 3 of them arise against Justice Tokonu, and President Mahama has the petition. It goes to Council of State. A prima facie case is made, and the committee begin the hearing. There's a lot to say because Justice Tokonu, while the committee was being, the process started, felt so pained that she needed to break the ranks of the in-camera hearing and held a press conference to tell the general public and the world that there were fundamental human rights abuses in the process. She's a former Chief Justice, so she knows what human rights abuses are. She tried to get the court to listen to her. She lost at the Supreme Court. She tried to get the High Court to listen to her. She lost at the High Court, both on accounts of the fact that whatever she is going through has been designed by the Constitution to be in camera, cannot be public, and so she cannot be heard in public. That whatever case she has to make it in the case. Article 146 process is almost such that once you get in, you are out. You can't get in and stay in, and once you get in, you are almost out. So yesterday, we heard that the committee had finished their work and they presented the document to the president. The only concern was that they said they were presenting to the president one case and they will go on and hear the other cases. So they presented one case to the president, the first one about Daniel Ofori's petition. That's one petition. That petition, they were able to conclude that Justice Tokonu has fallen foul of the law and they are recommending to the president for her removal. It stands to reason, therefore, that the committee process cannot go on. But if you monitor the news yesterday, it appeared that the committee were reporting on one and they will come and proceed with the rest. But after they reported on one, and in that report they had made a decision that based on everything they have heard, that the presidency, the Justice Tokonu was out, that's the announcement President Mahama was going to make. So that announcement has come, and now people are dealing with it. And so we are going to show you how the general public has reacted. This is a beginning story. We're going to have a lot to say about it. Here is Justice Sophia Kufu says, allegations against Chief Justice did not cross the threshold. It follows that the committee should not have been set up. That's Justice Sophia Kufu. She says again that my honest and candid view is that this has so weakened the institution of the judiciary. This other one, Tokonu did not have a fair hearing. There should be others. Where are the others? There are other views on the matter. This one is Professor Asare commends committee for diligent work. This is Professor Asare, who himself had filed a petition against Tokonu earlier. He is happy with it. He is recommending the committee for diligent work. Are there others? There should be another one. I think there's Kweku and Sansari. There's Richard Delasky, who said something interesting that generated a lot on social media. He said the charade of hawks sitting in judgment over a chicken condemned beforehand may pass off as due process to the uninitiated. However, no reasonably competent mind is fooled, he said, and he signs on his name. That's a very interesting one. Then Mr. Kweku Sansari, who had been the director of legal education and an astute lawyer, also said that the removal of Tokonu in the process is correct and that the Constitution had done the right thing. So these are the matters that have been said about it, and this is our editorial on it. We are going to end this editorial with some very interesting video, and you have to decide how you want to relate to it. That's entirely up to you and how you relate to it. So we are going to take you in the video as we end, take you to Parliament, where President John Dramani Mahama was engaging with President Akufo-Addo at the appointment committee hearings in 2001. What you want to make of it in relation to the Tokonu matter, please, it's up to you. Have a look.
At the last sitting of Parliament, insisted on issuing a statement against a lot of opposition from members of the House. Now, in that statement, he said that whether anyone liked it or not, the majority in the next Parliament, which is this Parliament, was going to introduce a motion to set up a Justice and Peace Commission to probe or inquire into June 4 and 31st December. There was an uproar from both sides of the House, and you were shown clearly walking out of the House, apparently in opposition and in disgust to what he had said.
This is a case of a genuine coincidence. This is a clear case of coincidence.
I want to be clear in my mind whether you were opposed to the timing of what he was saying, or you were opposed to the content or the idea of setting up such a commission, and what is your own opinion on that?
I would prefer to answer the latter. I left the chamber when the discussion was on, and I think that insofar as we all do that, as you know perfectly well, I don't think that any particular significance should be placed on the times I get up and leave the chamber and come back. But my own view is that at some stage or another, we're going to have to come to grips with that whole era and its consequences. We want to come to grips with it in a way whereby the peace, the stability, the progress of our country is not jeopardized. We're required in this country, like in many other countries in the world, to make a decision as to how we deal with our past. By and large, the nation is ready to say that what has happened in the past, let bygones be bygones. But there's still the situation involving the victims. People whose sufferings in one way or another cannot be so easily alleviated just by words. That a mechanism, some kind of mechanism was already in place when you were in office. The Attorney General, for instance, I know, was reviewing the whole situation of the restoration of people's assets and how all of that could be arranged. What I believe that the minority leader was putting on the table, which is I believe, for instance, the majority view in the country, is that let us have some kind of mechanism working not with discretion. Our objection to the way that the Attorney General was handling this matter was that there was a slightly discretionary element. He would choose which people to deal with it. But let us have a mechanism which would deal with these matters in a reasonably objective and impartial way.
It is my duty as the Chief Justice to call upon you to assume your high office by taking the presidential oath in the presence of the people here assembled.
I, Kwame Nkrumah, do solemnly swear that I will well and truly exercise the functions of the high office of President of Ghana, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to Ghana.
That I will uphold. That I will uphold. The sovereignty. The sovereignty. The integrity. The integrity of Ghana.
I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it wasn't that controversial. But if you disagree with anything, please send me a text message. We'll break it down on social media. Those of you who look at our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, we're going to break it down into the Charlotte Osei story alone, the Nkrumah and Buzia story alone, Kufuor story alone, Akufo-Addo story alone, the Tokonu story alone, so we can have videos that we can stimulate our intellects towards is it constitutional amendment or nation building. That's good. Let's see what our social media editor, Fatih, has. And then after that, we'll take a short break. We'll come back. I have some analysis about how the Black Stars can easily go to the World Cup. I'm seeing sports journalists seem excited about some budget that the Ministry of Finance sort of streamlined. And they say this is the first time they are seeing it. We can get into that story if we have a bit of time. What's the time now? Is 22 minutes to the top of the hour at 11 o'clock. Fatih, what are people saying?
All right. Thank you, Paul. So, Aziz Al-Hassa says he's worried today not because of the removal of the CJ removals, but the fact that it gives room for it to be done in the future, which may not be far from today. Ghana, my happy home. Safiano Adam says, what goes around surely shall come around. The recent jubilation at the removal of the Chief Justice is profoundly concerning, rooted not in triumph of justice, but in the crude calculus of political tribalism. You celebrate because your party holds the power to orchestrate what bears all the hallmarks of a judicial coup, executed under a shroud of opacity. Benedanso comes with a quote for us from the Sofa Plateau that says good people do not need laws to tell them to act responsibly, whilst bad people find a way around the laws. Junior Akbar from Tamale says Ghana is becoming a lawless country. How can you just remove the Chief Justice like that? President Mahama, what are you doing to this country? Ghana is bleeding. Nanaya Wasari says, what is happening to us as NPP will soon happen to the NDC. After Mahama's term, disaffection will set in. It's there that they will realize we understand politics more than them. Abraham also comes to say the NPP should not lose hope. There is more ahead. I believe still that we have 3 more years to win the 2028 elections. Charles Osei says Mahama's removal of the Chief Justice means posterity will remain the best judge. And lastly, coming from Philip Jr., he says President Mahama's removal of the Chief Justice is very concerning. The first person to do so was Kwame Nkrumah. He removed Akwatia from office in 1963. Until yesterday, no president in the Fourth Republican dispensation had assented to a petition to remove a certain Chief Justice from office. A precedent has been set. The foundation of our justice system has been roughly shaken. The floodgates to the disruption of our justice system has been opened. Now back to you, Paul.
Okay, a few text messages here. Professor Armstrong Jampos is helping me, and so is Papa Koakwe and Akolache, and all the people are writing to me and said, the professor that you're looking for, his name is Atahiru Jega, former INEC chairman of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Papa Ko, how are you? Very good, Professor Jampo and all the people, Akolache, who are sending me the text. Thank you very much. I think Prince in London, the student leader, also sent me the same thing. I've had so many of that coming through. Here's another one that says, good evening, Paul. Always enjoy your analysis on the touch screen. My name is Martin Leo Melo. No, he actually quotes him Martin Leo. He says, Martin Leo Melo once said, quote, first, they came for the socialist, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionist, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. That's Richmond. Richmond from Standard Chartered is writing that to us. Well, it's food for thought, isn't it? I think it's urgent civil society that if you don't talk about some of these things, then that's a problem. Professor Kwame Sebe says that, Paul, you use the word disagreement in the title to the CJ discussion, and I'm wondering whether it is appropriate. Basically, there are no disputes between the president and the CJ. Well, okay, yes, that's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, Papako, invitation is thrown to you. Come whenever you want to come. He says he wants to come on Good Evening Ghana, so we discuss history. Okay, another one says that, Paul, you were spot on the analysis about why the MPP lost Akwatia seat. I never thought about it. He says he says we were concentrating on the 5 candidates working for themselves. It was very difficult for them to unite to work for the party. You were spot on with your analysis all the time. Another one says, Paul, why don't you use the candidates who won to play the montage? Why are you using John Dramani Mahama to play the montage? Is it a deliberate ploy by you guys in the MPP to pretend that John Mahama is not going anywhere? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, I'm not sure about that. We just played John Mahama's montage. This is serious. We just played John Mahama's montage. Don't worry about that. Okay, now 17 minutes at the top of the hour. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we can do some analysis on sports, and then we have the Sophia Kufu videos. Sophia Kufu's opinion about this Chief Justice issue. We have now obtained some of the videos. It's a TV3 interview that they said is yet to be aired. But we have obtained some of the videos, and we'll show it to you when we come back from the break. It's Good Evening Ghana, and it's live.
Na mind na dia Ghana for near the exchange rate. I quite remember say almost this one city levy be on the koto a fuel product fuel so no. Finance minister can say he's making sure say dollar exchange rate no $1 no be dinner from now wa kopima fuel be kwa we no. Embo 10 cedis but gradually cost na e sound so affective fuel because 8 months omunya she be any one more my omunya she be de e what system no as Ghana for ne ani agye kwa exchange rate any fuel but adie na 8 months ni ya de chichi ewe uko prison 1 year is 10 months and as 8 months
say what do I know governors dey 8 months
ah say 1 year na say 1 year na wonya hwe na exchange rate so frase eshutu koso because fuel go eshutu koso and everybody me koto fuel they say no petrol diesel any dey account eshutu e dey koso e the finance minister Dr. Kesa to force na someone a wo ka che sentrofo bia no mu hia ya wo ka che o mu say dollar no the begina 9.6 9.7 to 10 wha na begina e wo mu say president Mahama be kan ya say wo mu make sure say begina 10 12 na mo aga na say no mwanya be aba 10 one mo no ane ade na mo make sure say mo mani begina ho no because the more na e shoot nkakran na e koso captain dollar bar from mafia milk yete milk so said ya tomo bo January before 7 January president Mahama yesu ani man be saa na yeto no yente no mo ka sure say niema dada no san no mo kofa foforo be guma that yente so yes se wo kwadwemu na entosi abanfri Ghana ha Agric minister oba ye ndo ntosi na abere so entosi na efu na aba ni season mu ne yewo efi Burkina Faso banche ebo ya president Mahama ni Agric minister ndo mo ndo banche man mboye eye previous government banche na abo eni yedi board any boy yedi sese no eyi ni ti eba eye previous government board eni yedi enti so mu ntimi hold the exchange rate na sefu eba betutumu dia eni emwa omo because they say they need bia yedi bia no abanda dada dia opana ne bank ne board ne ba yire ne yedi enu ne yedi eti sabana ntimi atoto ne ne ye na exchange rate no e be gina 10 ye nim say bia exportation so kan wo bit no because they say cocoa season omo to no omo hwe say bia be kwa yi kaka say be ya omo the international market na sika value no emu e be ye du kaka na e ma form by the end of the day no the Ghana for president Mahama 8 years no ya de chichi ye wure ye exchange rate any petroleum products ya na etimi eba from kakra but after so me introduce one city dey to so na exchange rate reflect na issue to no president Mahama ni ministers ye share dey hu hwe sa fuel ni so dey mo nka because 8 months dey mo komonim dey ye di bia opana dey ye di bia opana eniema ya to emo royal umbrella na no na me turn price na no kokoto obi say dey me turn no sa na me turn esonte mafom because of exchange rate e di captain catchira nkrofo president Mahama do ba ye share that money di catchira wo mo say exchange rate no se wo ma me na njejina ho no na we said the JB kan obekọ black market akoto 12 cedis 50 pesos ni 30 pesos at the end of the day no if so be any so said dollar back from BOG the rate is baned 11 na said ye ntehwe so milk no ni ade the JB the okay wo se bebre ho no ma ye nya no ha but ni ma no bebre na liver brothers ye wo Ghana na o mo nte so wo ko fa tu jimi ba na se mo tete so na mo hyehye na mo ye a mo se atem so ye ntehwe so emo ni de ani board na captain ye to na board ni saa na ye to no tu jimi no mo bae na o ma brand ne fufuro no ene mo ayefo
All right, let's look at the videos that we got from Sophia Ekufu in an interview that she's granted to TV3. Congratulations to TV3 for securing such an important interview. Here's the first one. She talked about how she feels that the process was unfair to the accused Chief Justice.
De minimis non curat lex. What does that mean?
The law does not concern itself with things of trifle, not substantive matters, not little things. Yeah, but if I'm to ask directly, would you say that the former Chief Justice got a fair trial, if I'm to put it in that manner?
In my, you want my opinion, you want my legal opinion, you want an opinion from the heart and the mind and the soul and the spirit. No, she didn't. She didn't. And there were also other things which in the latter part of the proceedings also happened, which you know, I don't even know how to put it, but they were very unbecoming. One, a process that is supposed to be purely in camera, and that expression in camera has been defined by the Supreme Court, and that definition still remains, right? That from the complaint all the way till the president speaks at the end of the matter, it's all what? It's all to be treated as part of the same thing. It comes under the same cover of in camera, and therefore is supposed to be confidential. So you can imagine the umbrage that I felt to receive on social media some social media thing somebody had sent to me, where the fact of which I am not in the least bit ashamed, and if I had to do the same again, I will. The fact that I had gone to give evidence before the committee was on social media. How did that get there? And it was not only myself. So and 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 so. I'm not going to repeat that. I won't use the word that came on my lips. I'm not going to repeat that unbecomingness by even mentioning the names that were mentioned. Isn't somebody entitled to have witnesses on their behalf? And then to come to think of it, then I thought, yeah, but we don't even know who gave evidence on behalf of the petitioner. So why is it that those who gave evidence for on behalf of the respondent, why should we be thrown to the rabid dogs? Because there has to be some not very noble motivation for that. And when it says that they from quote and unquote sources close to the committee, oh really, that is so sad and it's so pathetic. And then on Sunday somebody sends me another thing where somebody's going on and on and on and on and going on about the legal submissions that had been filed on behalf of the petitioner. Really? Why? What's the game? What's going on? I felt sad. And even that in itself made me sad. Have we come to this in this country where a process, you know, the most important thing in every process, whether it is a formal judicial process or it is the most informal process, such as, let's say, ADR discussions and all that, where something is supposed to be confidential, it has to be kept.
But to the extent that the Supreme Court has determined that if there is a breach of the in-camera rule, it does not invalidate the process, should that still be of concern?
That does not matter. I'm still talking about it. Just because it doesn't breach it, it breaches the letter. It breaches the letter of the Constitution, does it not? That it should be confidential. I'm not saying it therefore means anything, but all I'm saying is that for me, it puts an unpleasant aroma onto the procedure, because process integrity is exactly that which is demanded of the most humdrum, the most mundane inquiry, let alone an inquiry into whether or not a Chief Justice should be removed or not.
Outside of that concern, what other matters constitute the basis for your conclusion that you don't believe she got a fair trial?
No, I didn't say she got. Maybe what I meant is she got. After all, it wasn't a trial, even though it was handled as though it was a treason trial.
Why do you say so, my lady?
Because that's how I feel. Because that is how I feel.
Quite feisty. Justice Sophia Kufu, former Chief Justice and member of the Council of State, one of those who went into the hearing to testify for Justice Stokono. She said something else in another video by TV3. This is what she said.
She should take heart that God sees. And sometimes when you go through certain things which you think have brought you to the end or to your knees or something like that, that could be far from the truth. And there could be bigger, better, and greater things that the Lord has in store for her. That is what I will tell her, and that is what I'm going to send to her as a text message. Because when you're a believer, you know, things happening today, yeah, they've happened. So you look to God and you move on and you allow God to manage.
When you're a believer, are you a believer? My dear viewer, are you a believer? 4 minutes at the top of that. Let's take our final round of text messages and then we'll be calling it a day. Fatih, what are people saying?
All right, thank you, Paul. So Tokbe Davi raises a question and it says, Madam Sophia Kufu, you were rewarded adequately on the Council of State. Did you vote against or dissent on the prima facie? Kwame Date also says, the judiciary are their own enemy. I cannot believe how you'd subject your very own to petty political bullying. Imagine a prima facie case against the President or Speaker of Parliament. Prince Cham Chapo comes with a long essay, but I'm going to take just a short. He says, what has actually happened is law-inclined persons who know the truth but are beating around or playing around the truth. The President did exactly what the Constitution demands, so maybe it's not the President's fault, but that particular act of the law. If you understand that most of our law firms that groom lawyers are all political law firms, then you will understand why our judicial system is politicized. Philip Prince says, if a CJ is appointed today, petition for tomorrow will follow, and that's the precedent that has been set yesterday. Do you know how high it takes to become a CJ? Emmanuel Sarkodie also says, I'm very devastated as I type this. Justin Kodua and the team are very weak in this current politics. And lastly, coming from Opokwe says, we need to build strong institutions. We need to make the judiciary immune from presidential influence, just like how the VCs cannot be changed by the president. Now back to you, Paul.
Okay, so that's where we are tonight. It's a Tuesday night, and a lot more to come during the week in the review of the decisions that have been made. And when Parliament reconvenes in October, we know that they will be swearing in a new member of Parliament, Mr. Baidu. Congratulations to him. That's it for Good Evening Ghana tonight. Thanks for watching and see you on Thursday. Bye-bye.